Greetings and salutations, everybody. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be talking about the Fantasy Football Week 4 wide receiver start sits. I'm basically going to be going over my 4 starts and my 4 sits as we enter Week 4 of the regular season for the wide receiver position. I'm also going to be going over my 1 through 36 rankings at the wide receiver position and giving you better insight on what I believe you should start over another, prospective wide receiver that you may be on the fringe. Maybe he's a flex play. I'll give you kind of my insight on how I think it's going to break down going into Week 4. Now, before we begin, I want to thank all of you who have subscribed. For those of you who haven't subscribed yet, majority of the time I always see, I'm almost at 2,000 subscribers, but I'll see like 10,000 views on a video. And I'm thinking to myself, where are those 10,000 people? Why aren't they clicking the subscribe button? Well, here's my call to action, people. If I have in any way helped you out this season throughout the fantasy year, whether it's a start, whether it's a sit, whether it's a guy who picked up off the waivers, if I've helped you out, do me a favor, help me out, subscribe to my YouTube channel, okay? And also leave some likes down below. If you have any comments, I'll answer them. I'll get them done. Hey, everybody, how's it going? Okay, so we're talking about the wide receiver position. My 2 starts of the week. This is the 3rd week in a row. It's Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't know what to tell you, people, okay? He's just going to continue to be amazing, and he's going to continue to light up the league as long as Le'Veon Bell is not incorporated with that offense. The thing is, James Conner is not the receiving back that Le'Veon Bell is. He's getting his opportunities here and there, but it's opening up the offense a little bit more for Juju Smith-Schuster to be able to contribute. And honestly, his target share is sometimes even better than Antonio Brown's. His performances have been better than Antonio Brown's. I think as the season progresses, he's going to continue to get better and better. I like him this coming week. Now, let me read you a couple stats, okay? Now, in the first 3 weeks of the regular season, okay, Juju Smith-Schuster has had 38 targets, okay, in 3 weeks. All right, now week 2, if you've been around here for a while, you'll remember he had 19 targets in that specific game in which he caught the ball 13 times. This past week, it came down a little bit on Monday night. 9 receptions on 11 targets, but still 116 receiving yards. The way I see it, going against the Baltimore Ravens, a team that they're very familiar with, the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think Juju Smith-Schuster is going to continue to be able to contribute. I don't think that the Baltimore Ravens are going to give them that much trouble. The last time we saw the Baltimore Ravens play against a decent quarterback, Andy Dalton did some things, right? So the way I see it, I think Ben Roethlisberger this entire Steelers offense, they're comfortable with the idea that they're going to have to throw the ball in order to win games. They did it on Monday night, and they barely won because they couldn't stop a soul defensively, and that's also a good thing, right? If your defense isn't able to keep up with opposing offenses, it's going to force your offense to come down every drive and have to score, and that helps Juju Smith-Schuster. I like him this week as one of my starts of the week. Now, my next start of the week is Jarvis Landry, someone that I haven't mentioned thus far throughout the season as a start of the week, but it's because of Baker Mayfield. I don't know how to explain it. Is it the unfortunate, I don't know how to explain it, people. I'm sitting here and I have no words. Why? Because Tyrod Taylor, he was supposed to be decent, right? He's been a decent quarterback throughout his career. But, he was just a garbage can. He was literally holding this team back. They finally picked up their first win. I think Jarvis Landry, as the season continues, and especially this week against an opponent I don't think is great. The Raiders' defense is pretty decent when it comes to fantasy. They haven't given up that many points to the wide receiver position. But I think with the opportunity that Jarvis and Baker kind of present to each other, just last week, right? Jarvis Landry was able to pick up 100 receiving yards because of Baker Mayfield entering the game. Prior to Baker Mayfield entering the game, he had 1 or 2 catches? I think going forward, and especially this week, when Baker needs a guy to check the ball down to, right? We know Jarvis Landry is a guy that's going to haul in receptions left, right, and center, right? But he needs a security blanket. He needs a guy that he can trust to deliver the ball to. That's going to be Jarvis Landry. Some people may say it's David Njoku, but I think Jarvis Landry is going to be the supreme target and a guy that Baker can continuously trust in and deliver the ball to him no matter what. So I like Jarvis Landry as my second start of the week this week. All right, my last 2 starts of the week. We're going over Emmanuel Sanders and Adam Thielen. Okay, so here's the thing. Adam Thielen is almost like Juju Smith-Schuster. He just racks in ridiculous amounts of targets, but he's more of a sleeper, right? Not too many people hear the name Adam Thielen. If I told you he had 19 targets last week against the Bills, would you believe me? If you own him, you know about it, right? But if you don't, I mean, he had 14 receptions, 19 targets, 105 receiving yards. The week prior, in week 2, 12 catches on 13 targets for 131 and a touchdown. We all know what happened in that Packers game. And in week 1, he didn't catch many balls, but he still had 12 targets, 6 receptions, still broke 100 yards. I think Adam Thielen is an absolute beast. Now, you may be thinking they're playing against the Rams, Andrew. I'm not sure if that's a great idea to start Adam Thielen. I think it's fine considering Marcus Peters has that calf injury. Aqib Talib has that ankle injury. It's a short week. There is a possibility that both of those guys don't play. I know Mark Barron is dealing with an ankle injury or a quad injury. Honestly, it's somewhere in my brain, but I've lost it. It's one of those two, okay? It's a leg injury for sure. So with the Rams defense on a short week, I think Kirk Cousins has an opportunity to be good. I'll get more into that after I talk about my rankings because I'll talk about the Thursday night game before. Anyway, I'll talk about that later. But all things considered, I think Adam Thielen must be a start this week. Going forward, obviously, he should be a start, but do not fear this Rams defense. Adam Thielen is a for sure wide receiver start this week. Now, my last guy I wanted to talk about, Emmanuel Sanders, a guy that continues to, no matter whether he's thrown the ball or not, find his way into the end zone and find ways to get those fantasy points. Had a, I think, 35-yard rushing touchdown this past week. All things considered, they play against the Kansas City Chiefs this week. I think with the opportunity on Monday night, Case Keenum's going to have to score some points. If he doesn't, they're going to get, just absolutely dominated, okay? It is going to be 35-0 really quickly if Case Keenum can't put some drives together. I think Emmanuel Sanders is the only, yes, Demaryius Thomas here and there, right? But Emmanuel Sanders is the number one guy on this team thus far this season, and I think as it continues, Emmanuel Sanders is going to continue to be used by this offense, right? He is the best player within this offense. Phillip Lindsay, Royce Freeman, they're young. Case Keenum, he's okay. The offensive line's decent, but weapon-wise, I think it's Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders, and Thomas is getting a little old. So Emmanuel Sanders has got to step up, especially against a weaker Kansas City defense. I like Emmanuel Sanders this week. Okay, now let's get into my sits of the week. These are pretty obvious, but just in case you're wondering, please don't touch these guys. I should have just put like a toxic mask on or something, or hazmat suit. These guys are just straight toxic. They're going to kill your fantasy team if you start them this week and perhaps for the rest of the season, okay? Chris Hogan. Can I say enough about this guy? I thought he was going to be fantastic this year. I thought, oh my God, he's going to have so much opportunity. No Edelman the first couple weeks. Who's going to take targets away from him? Okay, Gronk, sure. Maybe James White, but that's it, right? He's going to be the number one receiver on this offense. Boy, was I wrong. In the last 3 weeks, he has only hauled in 14 targets. Okay, Michael Thomas caught 14 balls in a game. Look at this bum, right? Chris Hogan, excuse me. The last couple weeks, he's been garbage, right? That one. What? He scored 2 touchdowns versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Oh, congratulations. Everybody had you on the bench, okay? This past week, we got a little excited, right? We thought, oh my God, they're playing against the Lions. It's going to be a great matchup. Brady's going to come out. He's going to sling it. He's going to be great. Garbage. 3 receptions, 30 yards. I'm done with him. Chris Hogan, you're done. If you have an opportunity, go trade for Edelman because Burkhead just went to the injured reserve. This offense, this team is not looking great. But all things considered, maybe Josh Gordon does something. I don't know. But Chris Hogan definitely has man suit. Don't touch him. He's going to give your team cancer. I don't know. Anyway, next on my sit list, Robbie Anderson. Another guy that had one good performance, right? And his good performance consisted of 1 catch for 41 yards and a touchdown. 1 catch on 1 target. That's all he had in week 1. 1 catch, 1 target. And he had 41 yards and a touchdown. Congratulations. He had a double-digit fantasy week. Since then, the dude hasn't caught more than, 50 yards. He hasn't caught more than 50 yards in the last 2 weeks. He's a garbage can. They play against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't want to touch Robbie Anderson. He is another hazmat suit worthy wide receiver. I'm legit going to invest in a hazmat suit. And I'm going to wear it during these sit segments because these guys are just, ugh. I don't even want to get near him. Oh, speak of the devil, and he shall appear. It's Amari Cooper and Pierre Garçon. Okay, here we go. Amari Cooper, man, you play with everyone's heartstrings. We all think you're going to be good, and then you happen to be garbage, and then you're like, no, guys, I'm good. Oh, wow, he's good. 10 targets, 10 receptions in week 2, 116 yards against the Denver defense that he's never been good against. Oh, my God, it's a revelation. Amari Cooper is the second coming. We're starting him in week 3, everybody. Boom, 2 receptions, 17 receiving yards. What are we doing? I don't know what to tell you guys. Amari Cooper is a garbage can. I don't trust him. I don't like him. I mean, look, all things considered, he's an amazing talent, right? He's young, he's athletic, and he could potentially be a Pro Bowl wide receiver, right? But, I mean, I don't know what's holding him back. Is it the offense? Is it the play calling? Is it Derek Carr? What was it? Michael Crabtree? Well, obviously it wasn't Mike Crabtree. Jordy Nelson just had a great week. Maybe it's the number 2 wide receiver slot. I don't know what it is. But Amari Cooper, all things considered, coming into this next week, I don't trust him. I know they're playing against the Browns, but it doesn't matter. The Browns are going to be able to lock him up all the same as anybody else can. So Amari Cooper, hazmat suit, don't start him. If you can trade him away, get it done. And my last sit of the week, excuse me. Oh my, Pierre Garçon, a guy that is just so bad. What happened to him? He had that injury last season, ended his season, came back, and he's just been worse. Worse than he's ever been in his entire career. Listen to his stats. Last week against a Kansas City defense, okay? A Kansas City defense. You know what? I'm actually quite curious. I'm going to look up a stat, right? I'm going to look up how many percent of the offensive snaps that Pierre Garçon managed to play in week 3. So let's go and find that, shall we, Andrew? Yes, we shall. Okay. Where are we at here? Where's the San Francisco? Okay. One moment, people. Everybody relax. Let's see. Pierre Garçon played 76% of the offensive snaps, the most amongst all the wide receivers of the San Francisco 49ers, okay? Yet he only hauled in 1 reception for 11 yards. So you tell me, can he do anything without Jimmy Garoppolo? I don't know. I don't think so. CJ Beathard's not an upgrade. I'll tell you that much, people. As much as you want to believe it, it's not really much of an upgrade. Going forward, Pierre Garçon, you can drop him. Honestly, I'm not even kidding. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it. He's a hazmat suit worthy kind of guy, and you need to get away from these toxins as soon as you possibly can. All right, so let's get into my rankings. Whew, we got away from those dirtbags. Whew, my God, those sits are just, they've killed every single one of my fantasy teams. Okay, so, and I'm blessed that there's a couple teams I have left that don't have those guys on it. Okay, otherwise we were gonna have some real big problems. All right, wide receiver ranking going into week 4. Number 1, as I mentioned before a little bit earlier in the video, it's Michael Thomas. A guy with 95% reception rate, okay? So what does that mean? So overall, Michael Thomas this season has caught 95% of the passes thrown at him, right? It's not this like, oh, I catch 50% of the balls, 6 receptions on 12 targets. No. He catches 95% of the balls thrown at him. If I'm not mistaken, he's caught 38 out of the 40 targets so far this year within 3 weeks. He's a beast, right? Going against the, I think the New York Giants this coming week, it doesn't matter. He's matchup proof. Him and Drew Brees are going to get it done. I like Michael Thomas, number 1. I mean, if you can go and trade for him, do it. PPR league, Dynasty league, he's expensive right now, but he's only getting better. Number 2, Odell Beckham. Same matchup, right? I've begun to notice some things. As soon as the Saints are playing against a team that are, just as bad as them at defense and have okay firepower, it's going to be a shootout. Congratulations, you're going to get some fantasy points. So I have Odell Beckham at number 2 this coming week. Had a good week 1, good week 2. No, actually, it wasn't a good week 2. Scratch that. It was a good week 3. All things considered, Odell Beckham, he's the number one target within this offense. They used a little bit more of Sterling Shepard this past week. Evan Ingram went down with injury. He's going to be out for 2 to 4 weeks. I think that's going to obviously help Odell Beckham's target count. It's going to go up. He is going to be the main benefactor of Evan Ingram being injured. So I like Odell Beckham as my number 2 wide receiver for the week 4 of the regular season. Number 3, we have Antonio Brown. Look, I talk about Juju Smith so much that what isn't Antonio Brown anymore, right? He was on the cover of Madden. What does he do anymore? He scores a touchdown here and there. What did he do on Monday? Let's see this real quick. Had 6 receptions for 50 yards and a good old touchdown, right? So in a PPR league, all things considered, what is that? That's 16 points. Not bad. Not bad. But here's the thing. He's going to eventually break out. I understand he's getting the double coverage. He's getting the best corner on him majority of the time. And Ben Roethlisberger's not looking at him as much. Eventually, he's going to break out. He's going to be Antonio Brown. All things considered, he's still been decent so far. I like him against the Ravens. I don't know what to tell you. The Ravens secondary doesn't scare me too much. Oh, Eric Weddle. Oh, no. Doesn't scare me that much. I think they have Jefferson. Who is that Cardinal safety? Was it Jefferson? And then they had that one kid, that one corner that got suspended for like the first 3 games of the season. Either way, it doesn't matter. Antonio Brown, I don't know why I went off on this tangent. Irrelevant, okay? Antonio Brown this week, he's my number 3 wide receiver. He has to be. Why? Because he's AB. AB's a beast. Tony Two Toes. Anyway, number 4, Tyreek Hill. As I mentioned before, if the Denver Broncos can't score, they're going to get absolutely lit up. And Tyreek Hill is the man to do so. He is my number 4 wide receiver because as long as you're associated with Patrick Mahomes, and if you're the number 1 target, I know Travis Kelce's getting up there with number 1 target, talk in that offense. But if you're Tyreek Hill, you got deadly speed. You get to play out of the backfield. You get to do some punt return stuff, and you have the deep ball threat. Dude, you're going to be a monster all season long. He's my number 4 this week. Number 5, Julio Jones, playing against the Cincinnati Bengals, who are not that great at defense, right? I think, give or take, they've had a couple good fantasy weeks defensively, but they're not a great defense, right? Julio Jones didn't get too much this past week, right? Calvin Ridley was able to haul in 3 receiving touchdowns. That's not going to last. And the fact of the matter is Julio Jones is going to have to find the ball. He's going to have to find the end zone eventually. Hopefully it's this week. I think so. I have Julio Jones at number 5. Number 6, DeAndre Hopkins, another guy who, this is another guy. Just think about it real quick, okay? Antonio Brown, the second wide receiver within the offense, is outperforming him. No, not Tyreek Hill. Julio Jones, the second wide receiver in the offense, outperformed him this past week. DeAndre Hopkins, the second wide receiver, who is Will Fuller, is outperforming him within this offense. Yet I continue to rank these guys high. Why? I don't want to give anybody the notion that these receivers are not worth starting. They have to be started every single week. Why? Because they're so freaking good. These guys are good. Yes, they may have not had good fantasy weeks. Maybe he scored 15 points. Maybe he scored 12. Who cares? They have to start every week. Their ceiling is way higher than any of these wide receiver 2s, and their floors are way higher. They have to be started every single week. DeAndre Hopkins coming into this week against the, I was going to say that they're playing specific someone. Yeah, that's what I thought. They're playing against the Colts defense. Yay! And it's in Indianapolis. They'll close the dome. No big deal. They'll be fine. The way I see it, Deshaun Watson doesn't play well in the first half. He eventually has to falter into, okay, I got to throw the ball and throw myself out of this deficit. It's probably going to happen this week. I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to continue to be a good wide receiver 1 going forward. I like him this week. Keenan Allen, a guy who I ranked outside of the top 10 last week, and he didn't do great. Obviously, he didn't do great. I warned you guys, and yet I still started him in some of my leagues. It happens. Keenan Allen is a guy that you have to trust because he's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. This coming week, they play against the San Francisco 49ers, a defense who, all things considered, is not great. They let Patrick Mahomes hang 35 on them, and then Patrick Mahomes went into the hyperbolic chamber for next week, and they didn't have to score again, right? So the way I see it, Keenan Allen, he's going to be covered by who? Richard Sherman? Dude, Richard Sherman's done. Just start up Keenan Allen. Number 8, Mike Evans had a monster week in week 1. He's just going to keep hauling in targets, and he's going to keep hauling in touchdowns. You have to start him, right? I mean, this is a full... I don't know how to explain it. I think you can just thank the beard. Not my beard, but Ryan Fitzpatrick's beard. Without Ryan Fitzpatrick playing this well, you would have had a dead receiver on your team. Multiple dead receivers. Deshaun Jackson wouldn't have been relevant, right? Chris Godwin wouldn't be that great. O.J. Howard, and obviously Mike Evans. All these guys have been outperforming their projections because Ryan Fitzpatrick has just been so consistently good throughout the first 3 weeks. And I don't think he's going to stop anytime soon. I understand they play a pretty tough defense this coming week. So I'm going to, I'll pull back the projections on the other guys, but I think Mike Evans is a consistent 10-target kind of guy on a weekly basis, 10-plus targets. He's going to get any of the opportunities that they can possibly get. The only thing that's good about this coming week's matchup against the Bears is that the Bears' offense is very bad because Mitchell Trubisky is a trash can. He is a garbage can, people. Do not trust Mitchell Trubisky. I swear. I'd rather have Josh Allen. Anyway, all things considered, number 8, Mike Evans. Number 9, Devontae Adams. Playing against the Buffalo Bills defense. Oh, my God. We have to be scared of the Buffalo defense. No, we don't. Just relax, people. Devontae Adams is going to find the end zone like he usually does. He's the number 1 target within an Aaron Rodgers offense. I understand. Aaron Rodgers is hobbled. He's a little bit banged up, but he'll be fine. I think... Geronimo Allison and Randall Cobb can be great too, Jimmy Graham, but Devontae Adams is going to continuously get the bulk of the targets and the red zone opportunities because that's just what he is. He's a guy that scored 10-plus touchdowns each of the last 2 seasons. He's a great wide receiver, and he's Aaron Rodgers' number 1. He's number 9 this week. Number 10, one of my starts of the week, Adam Thielen. I'm telling you, don't be afraid of starting him against the Rams. It's not going to be that scary of a proposition. He's going to haul in targets. He's going to be a great receiver this week. Worst case scenario, they'll put, let's say, for example, Marcus Peters plays, right? By some miracle, okay? His calf is just magically healed. They're going to put him on Stephon Diggs. You're not going to have to worry, okay? You're not going to have to worry. I like Adam Thielen, guys. I mentioned it before. Let's do it. Number 11, my next start of the week. Oh, my God. Oh, my. Juju Smith-Schuster, baby. Do I have to mention again? I don't think so. If you somehow jumped into the future and you clicked on the timestamp, just go back and watch the starts of the week. You'll hear me talk about Juju. Oh, my God. Number 12, another one of my starts of the week. Oh, my. It's Jarvis Landry at 12. What a surprise. Okay, I'm going to skip these 3. I've already mentioned them, already talked about them. We're going to go to number 13, A.J. Green, a guy who's been playing pretty well these past couple of weeks. Obviously, with that 1 3-touchdown game he had in week 2. But here's the thing. He's a little banged up. I think, it's a groin injury, if I'm not mistaken. We'll have a better idea by at least Saturday on whether he's going to be a start, right? He all things considered, should start for your team, whether he's questionable or not, okay? As long as he plays, he has to start. Now, this is probably going to boost up Tyler Boyd a little bit, but I still think A.J. Green is going to get his bulk of the receptions as long as he plays, obviously. And if he doesn't, then I'll update you going forward. But I think he is a consistent wide receiver 1. I don't have him in my top 12 this coming week because of his little injury that, kind of sidelined him for majority of that game against the Panthers. So, number 14, I'm telling you, people, do not be afraid of this Rams defense. Phillip Rivers was able to torch them a little bit. I understand. Oh, my God, the Vikings, they got destroyed by the Bills. What are the Rams going to do then? People, relax. Stephon Diggs will be fine. Adam Thielen will be fine. Kirk Cousins will be fine. The backfield, I don't know about that, okay? We'll talk about that in a little bit. But as of right now, I have Stephon Diggs as my number 14. I think he's a guy that's going to – complete sentences, Andrew. Thank you. Okay. As of right now, Stephon Diggs has been the number 1 red zone target for Kirk Cousins' offense as a Minnesota Viking, right? The way I see it, Stephon Diggs is going to have to find the end zone to be fantasy relevant, and if he doesn't, boo-hoo, he's going to be garbage this week, okay? But all things considered, he's going to have about 10 targets because they're going to throw the ball. Dalvin Cook doesn't look like he's going to play. They're going to have to throw the ball. Hopefully the 2 corners of the Rams are out, and if they are, All systems go, people. All systems go. Number 15, I got T.Y. Hilton, a guy who didn't play well this past week. I'm going to blame it on the weather. Okay, I'm going to blame it on the weather in Philadelphia. I think this coming week in Indianapolis versus the Texans, who have been very vulnerable defensively throughout the entire season. I like T.Y. Hilton. I think by the end of the season, he's going to be a top 15 wide receiver. I like where he is right now. Okay, and I think as long as Andrew Luck continues to throw the ball and is healthy, T.Y. Hilton is going to continue to produce fantasy-wise. I like him this coming week. Just got to give him the ball more, Andrew Luck. You got to find 13. Number 16, Brandon Cooks. Okay, this is another guy on the Thursday matchup. I mean, listen, Brandon Cooks thus far has been an absolute animal, right? Sure, he played against some dodgy defenses, playing against the Chargers. They're not great on defense, right? Playing against the Cardinals, they're not very great on defense. Playing against the Raiders, they're not very great on defense, okay? Respectively, they have good players here and there, but as a full defense, they're not going to be able to shut down the speed of Brandon Cooks. And the way that the Rams are utilizing him consistently and finding him throughout the game, they're using him for all they are paying him. They shelled out a lot of money. They traded for him and they signed him for a new deal. They're using him to his maximum potential. I like him this coming week at number 16. I think if didn't I mention? I swear I mentioned it in the wide receiver video. I said Brandon Cooks is going to find the end zone in week 3. He found the end zone. Just saying. But either way, this coming week, all systems go. Send him out there. I don't care who's guarding him. Xavier Rhodes. What's his name? Harrison Smith. I don't care. Doesn't matter. This kind of speed cannot be guarded. He's a Tyreek Hill practically, okay? Just with a little bit better hands. All right, number 17, Emmanuel Sanders, my last start of the week, a guy that I'm very comfortable starting no matter what the matchup is, and especially against the defense like the Kansas City Chiefs, like I mentioned before, he's going to be able to prosper. He is the number 1 target there. I like Emmanuel Sanders. Number 18, Kenny Golladay. Guys, he's just going to keep getting better. He's going to keep getting better. He's going to continue to get utilized within this offense. The scary prospect, is that you can honestly potentially start Golden Tate, Marvin Jones, and Kenny Golladay as your 1, 2, and 3 wide receiver and have a good week. That's a scary proposition. I'm not even kidding. You can do that on a weekly basis and still win fantasy weeks. Why? Because Matt Stafford's going to continue to throw the ball. He's going to continue to find these guys. When the run game gets stopped, eventually they're going to have to throw. When they're losing, like they were losing against the Chiefs, they're going to have to – it's not the Chiefs, excuse me. When they were losing against the 49ers, they're going to have to throw the ball, okay? And I think – all things considered, Kenny Galladay's been playing really well. He's been found in the end zone a couple times here and there, and it's going to help him as the weeks progress. My number 19, we like Will Fuller out here. Will Fuller, as I mentioned before, he's outperforming DeAndre Hopkins. Now, last year, he had that one stint of like 7 touchdowns within, 4 games or something like that. Will Fuller is going to continuously be used as the deep threat and a guy that's going to, I think if I'm not mistaken, he had an amazing week this past week. And it's crazy how DeAndre Hopkins isn't able to get these targets. Against the New York Giants this past week, and I quote, Will Fuller had 5 receptions for 101 yards and a touchdown. I mean, just an amazing week. He was my start of the week last week. Hopefully you fire him up again this week. He's not a start of the week considering they're playing against the Colts. And I don't think the Colts defense are that big of pushovers. But I think he's still going to have a good week. I think he's still going to be able to be fantasy relevant. At least more relevant than the guys below him. Number 20, Golden Tate. My next Detroit Lions wide receiver that I'd like to mention. I'm going to mention them all today. Why? Because you just can't ignore them. They play against a Dallas Cowboys team this week who do not look good. They're not going to be able to put up points. I think Golden Tate in the short yardage routes, bada boom here and there, he has to start. He's a great wide receiver. His stats this past week, they weren't amazing. Why? Because they ran the ball so damn much. Imagine if they didn't. Imagine if it was a shootout. Okay, Golden Tate still had 6 receptions for 70 yards. It's pretty good. He didn't catch that touchdown, but he's never been the touchdown kind of guy. He's a PPR monster, and he continues to produce. I like Golden Tate at my number 20. Number 21, Nelson Aguilar. Didn't play well this past week. That's mainly because of the weather. It's the same reason I'm going to fault T.Y. Hilton for not playing well last week. That Philadelphia weather wasn't great. Had everybody slipping and sliding. The tight ends were the only guys to find the end zone, and the running games were working, at least for Philadelphia. Colts don't really have a running game. But anyway, Nelson Aguilar this coming week playing against the Tennessee Titans. He is the number one target. Alshon Jeffrey might be back, people. I heard a report that he practiced fully today. So if that is completely confirmed and I see that he practices again tomorrow, I will give you an update on my injury update of the week. Alshon Jeffrey will get there, right? I will put him on this list. He will be a must start at some point, okay? I don't know how healthy he is or how much they're going to use him this coming week, but if he plays, he's probably Nelson Aguilar just drops and Alshon Jeffrey goes up because of that touchdown ceiling that he has. Anyway, number 22, I want to talk about Tyler Lockett. I mean, Tyler Lockett's been a beast as of late, right? We just need Doug Baldwin to come back now, and we need Tyler Lockett to stay this good the whole season. And then Russell Wilson will be great. They won't have to use Chris Carson as much, blah, blah, blah. But, all things considered, Lockett's been great. He's been finding the end zone, which is fantastic. I think this coming week, who else is Russell Wilson going to throw the ball to? He doesn't have many options. It's just like, okay, congratulations, Doug Baldwin's gone. You have Brandon Marshall, Old Man Marshall. You have Will Disley, who doesn't want to show up in week 3 after 2 good, pretty decent weeks. You have a rookie running back you drafted in the first round, doesn't want to do anything. But Tyler Lockett's still here. They play against the Cardinals. I don't think Patrick Peterson's going to be able to lock him down, But I still like Tyler Lockett. He's my number 22. Number 23, Allen Robinson. They're playing against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, who we saw on Monday is not great, right? I understand, okay. Fitzpatrick turned over the ball 3 times, but Khalil Mack is going to make him turn over the ball just as many times, okay? Allen Robinson this coming week hopefully can find some more targets. Mitchell Trubisky's a garbage can. We understand that, but Allen Robinson is a good enough talent to hopefully find the end zone. He's the number 1 receiver on this offense, and he will hopefully find the damn end zone, people. I like him at 23. Number 24, a guy who jumped up a lot, Robert Woods. We knew he was going to play against that Chargers defense and have a good week, right? Because the Chargers defense is terrible, right? It sucks that Jimmy Garoppolo is out because otherwise those wide receivers for the 49ers have a great week this week. But they're not mentioned on today's episode. Robert Woods going forward, I think he's going to be good. I think all of the wide receivers for the LA Rams are going to be good because Jared Goff continues to prove why he's such a damn good quarterback. So I like Robert Woods this week at 24. 25, Demaryius Thomas. They play against the Chiefs. He has an opportunity. Case Keenum's just got to find him, and he's got to throw him the ball, and hopefully he'll be able to manage to get some sort of fantasy relevance this coming week. 26, I may have ranked them just a little too low, but to be honest, you can't guarantee anybody scoring fantasy points on that Chiefs offense. If you are on the Chiefs offense, I don't know what the hell I said. If you're on the Chiefs offense or you're associated with Patrick Mahomes in any way, you are eligible for a touchdown. Whether you're the fullback, Anthony Sherman, whether you're the second string tight end, whether you're the fourth string wide receiver, it does not matter. You could play cornerback. You can play safety. Somehow you're in the game, you score a touchdown. How? I don't know, but Patrick Mahomes gets it done. Sammy Watkins this week, he could be higher, but I like him just around here at a lower end wide receiver 2, potential wide receiver 3. Either way, you should start him this coming week. Marvin Jones, number 27, the third Lions wide receiver that I'm going to mention today in the last one. I think he always does, right? We mentioned this before the season started. He has that potential to get in the end zone, right? But is Kenny Golladay going to take away opportunity? It doesn't seem so. So the way I see it, Marvin Jones is still going to be relevant. I like him at 27, where he's a wide receiver 3. You don't have to put too much, value into him if he doesn't score that touchdown because you're really just looking for that touchdown upside. So that's what it is. 28, another guy with touchdown upside, but can he find the end zone? Michael Crabtree. He's going to be a good wide receiver. John Brown, who I don't mention on this list. If he's healthy and full systems go, you have to start him this week. He's a good wide receiver 3 as well. But I'm not sure how his injury is looking up as of right now. But Michael Crabtree, if he finds the end zone, he can be fine. But if he doesn't, we're going to have some problems, okay? All things considered, he's still going to get 8-9 targets from Joe Flacco, and especially against that Pittsburgh Steelers defense, who's not great. They can make some plays here and there, and I like Michael Crabtree this week. Number 29, Tyler Boyd. I'm telling you right now, if A.J. Green does not start, Tyler Boyd rockets up, maybe like 16, not 16 ranks. Okay, that would leave him to be at A.J. Green status, but it's possible. Tyler Boyd is a good athlete. He's made plays each of the last 2 weeks, and he's looking fantasy relevant just as long as, they play what? They play against the Atlanta Falcons this week. He's going to have a decent week. He's going to have a good opportunity, and I think Tyler Boyd, my number 29, you should play him. Number 30, Kenny Stills. He's the only Dolphins wide receiver I trust. Albert Wilson, Jakeem Grant, bullshit. They're all garbage. I don't even want to hear about them. He's the only wide receiver on the Dolphins I trust. Devontae Parker, don't even mention his name. How dare you even say that? All things considered, they play against a very, very, very suspect New England defense. And I like Kenny Stills this week at my number 30. Number 31, Larry Fitzgerald. Okay, I understand. He's Larry Legend. But if Josh Rosen doesn't throw him the ball, he's a nobody, okay, when it comes to fantasy. So we'll just have to wait and see. Otherwise, he's at my number 31. Number 32, Sterling Shepard, who I mentioned earlier, was used a lot this past week. Let me see what kind of stats we were working with last week. Yeah, 6 receptions, 80 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, they targeted him a lot this past week. And I think playing against the New Orleans Saints, he's going to have his opportunities. I like him this week as a wide receiver 3 start, especially in a PPR, half-point PPR league. He's my number 32. Number 33, Mike Williams. Look, here's the thing. If Mike Williams can find the end zone and score a touchdown, he's going to be great. But if he can't do that, we're going to have a week 2 all over again. Okay? That's all I'm going to say. Mike Williams, otherwise, pretty good. He's another wide receiver star at that wide receiver 3 fringe area. Number 34, Cooper Kupp. I mean, how does he keep doing it, right? Cooper Kupp manages to find himself some fantasy relevance every single week, and he's a stud, right? Because if you're Jared Goff's best friend, and you're a part of the number 1 offense in the NFL, you're gonna find some fantasy value, and you're gonna drag a guy 6 yards even though you weigh 200 pounds soaking wet, and then you're gonna go score a touchdown. Number 35, Calvin Ridley. I'm pulling the reins back. I'm not one of those guys that says Calvin Ridley's at 20. No. Relax. He scored 3 touchdowns. He'll be lucky to score 1 for the next 3 weeks. Maybe he scores another 2. I don't know. This is fantasy football. It's random, okay? I don't know what Sark is, mustering up in that playbook this coming week, but I like him at 35. My last guy that I want to mention, Corey Davis at 36. With Marcus Mariota fully starting this week, I understand he's not fully healthy, but Corey Davis, I think someone in the comment section yesterday mentioned going, to the next, how many weeks have we gone? 3 weeks? We have 10 more until the fantasy playoffs start. For the next 10 weeks, who do you see outside of the top 50 at the wide receiver position making his way into the top 20? And I thought to myself, Corey Davis. Now, why? With Marcus Mariota, Corey Davis is a completely different animal. In week 1, he had an incredible target share within that offense. And I think going forward, if Marcus Mariota is healthy and able to throw the damn ball, and they're not playing against the Jacksonville Jaguars, he can be a good wide receiver. I think Corey Davis, 36, is an okay spot for him. Other than these guys, couple guys that I didn't mention, Quincy Enunwa, playing against the Jags, but I think he's still going to have his opportunities here and there. Josh Gordon, I didn't mention. Don't worry about him. I don't know how much he's going to be used in this offense. I don't even know if this offense is going to move the ball, much less, but we'll see. Before we end this video, I just want to talk about the Thursday night game. I will not be recording my next video, which is the quarterbacks video, until after probably the Thursday night matchup between the Vikings and the Los Angeles Rams. So I just wanted to talk about all the fantasy prospects within those games and whether you should start them or not this coming week. Now, let's talk about quarterbacks first. If you've been around this channel for a while, you'll know that I love Kirk Cousins without a doubt, right? I think you should start Kirk Cousins every single week. Perhaps you have Ben Roethlisberger or Patrick Mahomes in a good matchup. Okay, sure, you start those guys ahead of him. But all things considered, I love Kirk Cousins in fantasy football. I think he should be a start this week. I'm not afraid of that Rams defense whether they have those corners or not, I think he's going to have a good fantasy week. I would start him, okay? Now, if you're wondering, should I start him over Matt Ryan? That's a different conversation, okay? If Matt Ryan can continue to do what he does, go to the comment section. You can ask me, and I'll break it down, okay? Jared Goff. I think Jared Goff, I understand, okay, the Vikings defense didn't play well, but they're a good defense, all things considered. But on Thursday night, it's a short week. I like Jared Goff at like a ranked area of like 12th, 13th quarterback on my ranking list. That's where I like him. I think he's going to continue to produce. I think, yes, the run game is going to work, which is going to open up their offense as it does. I think when you're averaging 33 points per game, who can really stop you? I mean, Sean McVay is going to chalk up some good offense for this week, and they're going to be fantasy relevant. I like Jared Goff at like a 13-14 range, 12-13 range, for the quarterback position. If you have a guy like Dalton, or if you have a guy like Tannehill, and you also have, or maybe even Andrew Luck, and you have the option of Jared Goff, I would consider it. I think Jared Goff, just the fact that he's associated and he's the starting quarterback of the highest scoring offense in the NFL. I think, no, perhaps, are they hold up. Have I been bullshitting? Maybe it's Patrick Mahomes that is in front. Maybe, hold up. I think it might be the Kansas City Chiefs that are the number one. Yeah, I'm just BS. Oh my God, they're number 3. The New Orleans Saints are number 2. Okay, people, I take back all my statements. Whew, wow, the Rams are actually not the best offense. Oh my God, they're tied with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay, anyway, still, number 3 offense, guys. Hey, number 3 offense. Still, either way, I still like Goff this week. At running back, Todd Gurley must start. Dalvin Cook looks like he's not going to play. Latavius Murray would be a flex play, in my opinion, in a standard league at best. I don't know if he's going to be able to do much. The offensive line is not a run-blocking offensive line, to say the least, and he didn't play this well this past week, so I wouldn't put too much stock into Latavius Murray, but I think he can have a decent week as a flex start. When it comes to the wide receivers, I pretty much mentioned them all. You should start up as many as you can, in my opinion. I like them. I like this matchup. I think it's going to be somewhat of a shootout. I'm probably like high 20s, like 24, 28, something like that. Kyle Rudolph is the only relevant tight end. I don't talk about Tyler Higbee. Kyle Rudolph, you got to start him. He's probably a top 6 tight end. I mean, so far he's a top 6 tight end, and as the season goes on, he's a top 6 tight end. So do the math, figure out who's under him. Start him over Kittle, start him over Cook. The only guys I wouldn't start him over, obviously, the Gronks, the Kelseys, the Ertz, Jimmy Graham, and give or take, who's another? Oh, Jordan. No, but Jordan Reed's on a bye week. So start him up, top 5 tight end. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching. If you haven't already, please go down and subscribe. And if you like this video, go down to the comments and like the video. Click the like button, people. All right, thank you. And until tomorrow, quarterbacks, we'll see you.